If you start to do that, the market will just, you're on the floor. So good morning and welcome back to my channel. Currently we're inside some NAS shorts and I thought I'd just flick on my camera and pretty much just show you what it is like when you're in a trade, how I manage it, why I took it, and just an overall picture so that you guys can understand what it's like to be a full-time trader. Now, currently we are up $754 at the moment and we are dropping beautifully. So like I said, no fancy edits. We're just going to get straight into exactly why I took this trade. Jump up to the daily time frame. What we can see is that price initially overnight swept previous day's high and the previous week's high, right? This is overnight during the Asia session. I'm not awake, so I'm not taking any positions. So I woke up this morning and I saw that we had swept these two massive areas of liquidity. And that to me was kind of like, I'm not really sure if I want to get into a position now because we've already swept all of that liquidity. If we wanted to react, we would have reacted. However, as the London session kicked in, I looked up and I saw that we had some more liquidity right here, right? So if we mark this out, we had all of this liquidity, which we then went ahead and swept. So now, work with me. We swept the previous week's high, the previous day's high, and some internal range liquidity right there. So because we've swept three whole massive pools of liquidity, I was kind of like, okay, if we get some sort of entry schematic play out, we can then look to enter into a position, right? But having said all of that, right above where we currently are, we do have more liquidity, right? Right above this key high all the way to the left, we've got a whole bunch of liquidity. Price has not swept that yet. So this is why it's a B plus setup, because if we swept that liquidity, this would automatically be an A plus setup. We've taken out everything. Now we should just drop. Overall, the market is bullish, right? We've been putting a whole bunch of bullish inducement into the market, which means taking a short is counter trend. But the reason why is number one, we swept that liquidity. And now if I continue to drop down on the time frames, you can see that right here, Asia session, or even before Asia session, last night, we swept previous week's high. During Asia session, we swept that liquidity to the left. And then come the market open, come the London open, we swept all the way to the upside. And then we printed this beautiful schematic right here. This is one of our entry schematics where we swept the liquidity. We had a market structure shift. Very, very nice. So once we had that push to the downside, I then thought, right here, we've got this perfect fair value gap on the 3-minute time frame. Price then came, tapped, pushed a little bit deeper, but now we are dropping nicely. As soon as we break below this low, I'm actually going to go break even. So I have also sent this trade into the VIP group. As you can see, this is the VIP group. I sent the NAS a sell limit. Bang, with the numbers, the stop loss, and the take profit so that everyone was able to get into this trade with me. So we're all floating nice in profit. Let's see what happens as the day progresses. So that is a good overview on exactly why we're trading, why we're getting into this position, how I'm managing it. But the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is that the whole of last week, or over the last 4 or 5 days, I've taken zero trades. And the reason why I've taken zero trades is because there was just so much uncertainty in the market, right? We've had the 12-day war. We've had Trump feuding with Jerome Powell over the weekend on X. We've had just a whole bunch of news that's been coming into the market, which has been putting a lot of uncertainty into the market. During these periods, if you are not a seasoned trader, if you are not somebody who knows exactly what to do, stay out of the market, right? I have been trading for 6 years, but even still, I decided I'm just going to take a step back for a few days just to let the market sort of calm down. Once I know what is going on, once I can read it a little bit better, I'll then jump back in. Exactly the same as today, right? Markets opened yesterday. We had the whole ceasefire news last night. So the tensions have calmed down. The markets have slowly started to calm down, which means we can sort of go back to our normal behavior in the market. And this is why I started to re-enter the market. Before this, I just stayed out. And like I said, if you're not a seasoned trader, it's best to stay out and protect your capital than to get into trades that you know are probably not even going to make you any money, right? So at the end of the day, I really need you guys to understand that being a full-time trader does not mean that you're executing a position every single day. Being a full-time trader means you're sitting down exactly the same as this, and you're waiting for A plus setups. You're waiting for that perfect opportunity, whether it be an A plus setup like the previous live video that I did, or if it's a B setup like this one, where yes, it can be a little bit better if we go ahead and sweep the liquidity that's above us. Right, guys, so it is now time to go break even on this trade. We've broken this low. That means as soon as we break that low, if price now reverses, it's going to invalidate the entire trend. So we don't really like the way that that candle has just closed, right? We've wicked below this low instead of closing below that low, which tells me that that is a potential sweep of liquidity, right? So now if we get an internal break of structure to the upside, so if we get an internal structure break here, that to me would be a market structure shift. So going from bearish to bullish, which would mean that market structure has flipped bullish. Therefore, I should not be in this trade. I listen to the market and I react as opposed to thinking it has to go down and I know that the market's going to go down, so I'm going to get into a sales. If you start to do that, the market will just you're on the floor. So always listen to what the market tells you and react. That's it. We are merely but reactionists. We do not control what the market does. The market controls what the market does. So let it do what it does best, and you do what you do best, which is react. Now, at the same time, I am looking at a trade on GU as well. Now, this, if it plays out, can be an A plus setup. We've got the previous week's high right here. So if we sweep this previous week's high, there's a whole bunch of liquidity sat above it, right? What I'm waiting for is a sweep of that previous week's high. And then once we get that previous week's high, if we then get our entry schematic playing out, then I will be looking to short the market. Now, I don't know if that will happen. I don't know if that will play out, right? But if it does, I'm going to react and I'm going to execute a position. Simple as that. So we're waiting for that to happen, and simultaneously we are inside of this NAS trade, which see what I mean? Like we've swept that low, now we're pushing to the upside. Now, if that continues and we have this bullish push to the upside continuing like it is at the moment, then I'm more than happy to close out this position. This is why we take money off of the table so that we're not left with nothing. So if we now get our entry schematic playing out, then I am going to execute a position. And I'm probably going to look to take that short into this hourly fair value gap that I've got identified right here. So from here to here, just a short move, but again, it's counter trend. We're just going to take the lowest hanging fruit, which is this hourly fair value gap. Worst thing is drinking pre-workout and then having to sit here to monitor this trade because my cheeks are literally itching. My ears are itching because this pre-workout is kicking in, but gonna have to sack it off because we've got to see if we can get into this position, right? Guys, so we are in the GU sales as well. So we're currently up $300 as it stands. So hopefully we have two take profits, but by the looks of it, this trade is not playing ball. GU is playing ball, right? We are pushing nicely. If we can You guys can see that if it focuses, bam. So we are up $442 on this GU trade. NAS is pushing back to break even, so we'll see what happens there. But with risk off on NAS and on a GU, I'm going to show you the exact entry that I took, but we are pushing nice. That is a 1 to 2.5 risk to reward live. We analyzed this trade live in this video, and as you can see, $741 that we are currently floating on this trade. So that was analyzed live. I executed that live. Of course, I'm not going to show you the exact entry criteria that I used to enter this position. If you are interested in taking your trading to the next level and become part of the Smart Money Circle, I would highly recommend you click that link down in the description. Book a call with me and my team where we'll audit your current journey, see where you are, and see how we can take you to the next level where you're able to execute these exact same trades and extract these exact same profits. But we will continue with our scheduled broadcast after I have been to the gym. Now, as we can see on the 15 minutes on NAS100, again, we have not closed with a body closure. If we also look to the left, we can see that we have an inversion fair value gap right there. So we are going to be removing our break evens because price may look to push higher, close out this inversion fair value gap, and then give us that push to the downside that we really, really want. I'm back from the gym, hit a PB, big workout, And we also hit a nice TP on GU. Now, because I was at the gym, I wasn't recording. However, I got this video that I'm going to pop up right here. Oi, your boy is looking huge. Come on. Right, guys. So as I said, we had this last area of supply, this inverse fair value gap, right above where price was just a few minutes ago. So I knew that if we tapped into it and we rejected, it would mean that we're going to continue with the bearish behavior. And we tapped into it and we rejected twice. So this is telling me that price wants to go lower. However, another key thing that I want you guys to understand is when you get into a trade, it's not set and forget and walk away and all of that rubbish. No, you have to listen to what the market is telling you, read it, understand it, and react. So let me give you an example. Now, in this trade, we have failed to break the low 3 times. That tells me that price is struggling to go lower. Yes, we've closed the last area of supply, but we failed to break below. So now there's 2 things that can either happen. We can either sweep this liquidity and reject. If we do that, I'm out the markets. And the second thing is that we close with a body candle above this area of inefficiency. If we do that, I'm at the markets. Both of those scenarios are going to tell me that price is no longer looking to go lower, is looking to go higher. Therefore, why should I be counter trend and not listen to what the market is telling me? In a scenario like this, I will listen. If any of those 2 things happen, I'm at the markets. If, on the other hand, though, price comes and breaks with a full body candle below this area of liquidity, I'm in. I'm riding it to take profit. So you guys have to listen to what the market is telling you. Do not just set your trades and forget it because your strategy tells you that it needs to go lower. Listen to what the markets tell you. The more you listen, the better your trading becomes, the more profits you'll extract. Here we are, guys, at the end of the day, and it's an unfortunate end for NAS100. Like I said, if we get a body closure above that inverse fair value gap, just like here, then I'll be closing out the trade at break even. I'm going to pop a screenshot right above my head there showing you that I ended up closing that position in break even. So NAS took us for a ride today. We was in this trade for a whole nearly 7 hours, right? And this is the reality of trading. Sometimes you're going to float in profit and then end up making nothing. But if we go over to GBPUSD, played out exactly as I said it would. So we analyzed the sweep of the previous week's high, took that short down into that hourly fair value gap. Now, I could have taken a trade there, but I was already inside the NAS. I had already taken a win on GBPUSD. I went for a shower. It's the end of the day. I don't want to be in no more trades. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm out. So there was a potential setup in there. Never ended up taking it. I'm happy with GU. NAS was unfortunate, but that's the reality of trading. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoy these types of live videos, then also let me know in the comment section so I can do more of these. But on that note, I'm going to catch you guys in the next video for another live trade.